All right, fellas, we are live. Welcome back. It's your boy E Tally with High School Hoops Talk, but we kind of gearing to a different direction, and we want to talk a little bit to the local teams and colleges here in San Antonio. So I have two coaches from the junior college, the Palo Alto Palominos, head coach. Real quick, a little resume on him. He served 24 years in the Air Force. He has 8 years coaching with AAU and with college coaching. There's 2 years with the Palominos. Coach Randall Green and his assistant coach, 2 years coaching experience with the Palominos. Coach Neff. So say how I pronounce it, Neff. I'm gonna screw it up.
Zuniga.
Suniga.
Zuniga.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen. So how y'all been?
Good. Good.
Did I get the introduction right? Did I miss anything?
No,
Oh, sir.
you got it
Fantastic. Thank you for
perfect.
having us.
I appreciate it. No, thank you
Yeah.
guys for coming, man. I think it's really important. One, I was there from the start as far as when Coach Green, you took the job and you allowed me to cover you guys a little bit and get behind the scenes a little bit what you guys were trying to do. So one, you gave me an opportunity, so I always will, in debt to you there for that, and I say thank you. And then also
Good.
Coach Neff, you working side by side with me in the AAU side, and now you're pretty much doing your thing over there, doing big things with the Palominos. And I just want to say thank you both for just giving me this time to talk to you and talk a little bit about your program and what direction you're trying to go into and what you're trying to do for the city.
Absolutely.
So, Coach Green, I'm gonna start this off with you.
hmm
Real quick, how y'all staying warm?
I'm in a house, man.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
I'm in a house. House with heat. That's how I'm staying warm.
That's it. Okay, Neff.
hmm
But slowly walking in and out of doors. That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We ain't change nothing over here.
Exactly. Yeah. I hear you. I'm doing the same, man. I got all the doors. I got every room door open right now, and my kids don't understand the importance of just keeping the heat circulating in the house. They don't understand that. They wanna be in a room under they nice cozy blankets and just being there. And I'm telling them no, because two of the bedrooms are over the garage. I'm trying to make them understand. I don't want, and it's a bathroom over the garage also. So I'm trying to make them understand they got to keep the pipes from not freezing. So other than that, man, we doing the same. We doing the same. Okay.
Good.
Well, just jump off here. Coach Green's questions for you.
hmm
In just your second season, you've already delivered a conference championship. Congratulations on that.
I
But what
appreciate it.
were what were your biggest culture changes you felt needed to happen when you first arrived there and took over the program?
Um, I think I mean, the first year we came in, we weren't able to really recruit. I mean, I think I got hired in August, and then I think I approached Coach Neff like August, September timeframe. And so we brought a lot of guys in. Um, in terms of our culture, the biggest thing is, man, is getting these guys to understand that that winning, it isn't a sometimes thing, man. It's an all-time thing. So, building that competitive edge, man, starts first thing in the morning. When guys get up, and getting them in that winning mode. How they approach school, how they approach practice, how they approach training, all those things. And so we had to get our guys obsessed with that, the process. Um, and last year we had, Neff, how many we have? What, 14 on roster, I think,
Yes,
around
sir.
there. And just about every one of them bought into that process. And and if they can be obsessed with the process, not just the result, then we'll be successful. So
Okay. So pretty much the buy-in piece was what you were kind of
yeah,
striving
the
for.
buy-in, man. And like this year going in, I mean, it all started in July for the guys we recruited.
Mhm.
When we started, and actually no, June. We started in June this year.
Yeah.
Um, and getting them to buy into that culture piece, man, that process, and getting them to understand that, um, and and that's where it all starts. So,
Okay. This question is for both of you, but I would like you to answer first, Coach Neff. How would each of you describe the identity of the Palominos to from today, right now, to last year, the same date?
Right. Yeah. So I think Coach and I we always approach it from two different angles. One of them is the personal character development of each player, and the other one being the personal basketball right development of each player. But I would say, to answer your question, as far as identity goes, as a team, from the character side, definitely the culture of approach. You hear Coach talk about, that's the first thing he talks about. That's what leads the way for us, is approaching things, from an organized, and professional, mindset, making sure that they're there, to put the work in, and we'll live with the results if the effort is there, and they're focused, they bring a good attitude, to practice, and intensity. That approach is gonna go a long way. And then from a team perspective, just in terms of basketball style, I mean, we're definitely faster.
hmm
We're bigger, stronger, faster, than we were, last year from an athletic, perspective, and really building on, the culture and IQ that coach has been teaching from day one.
yeah. Um, you done now?
Yeah.
You-
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I was waiting on you, Tally. I
Yeah.
was
Well,
waiting
again, I
to
was gonna
chime in,
finish, and
man.
then you chimed in like you about to answer right now, like you.
No,
Okay.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
Mhm.
Okay. Go ahead. Go.
No, man. In terms of identity, from now to last year. I mean, like last year, I felt like we were always climbing a mountain, man, like continuously, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, trying to prove ourselves, and especially with the guys that we had. This year is more about defending the peak, right, on that mountain. But I still feel like we're climbing it, man. Our guys, man, in terms of the identity. When we hit practice every day, I want our guys to play harder. I want them to challenge each other. I want them to cut harder, screen harder. Um, and I want them to understand that that pressure is a privilege, right? Um, and never get complacent with it. So yeah, it's the identity of our guys is just when we step on the court, I want them to to play harder than than the other five in front of them. No matter the result, because if we can hold our head up after each game, and our guys gave everything they had, yeah, yeah, you hate to lose, but at the same time, you know, um, you can be proud of what they did on the floor for 40 minutes. And we've had a few games like that this year where we played hard. We just fell short, but we were like, okay, yeah, something to grow on, something to gain, and we move forward. So, but our identity, man, I wanted to be relentless on the court, and not only challenge each other, but challenge the opposite team that we're playing against. So,
Right. 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 Okay. So, it could be this question could be for both of you.
mhm.
What does changing the culture mean inside the program right now on a daily basis, in the locker room, in practice, in the classroom for all your
Mhm.
players? Because again, you are now 1 year with your hands on that whole program.
Yeah.
I like the term, climbing the mountain mentality. But right now, what does changing the culture mean to all those guys that you're dealing with
Uh,
from those three?
uh, Yeah. Uh, no days off. That's got to be the standard. Um, in practice in the locker room, when you mention the locker room, man, it means holding each other accountable. I'm a true believer, man, that player-led teams drive culture better than coach-led teams. I've always felt that way. So like in practice, it means the intensity is higher than the game. If you can survive a practice that we put you through, then the game is slow. It'll slow down. In the classroom, handle your business, uh, because anything you do is how you do everything, right? Um, because if you can't handle your business in the classroom, then you can't be a champion on the court. I mean, plain and simple, and we preach academics continuously to all 15 of our guys, man. But that's my piece on it.
Neff?
Right. It's about setting expectations. I wouldn't. I would even say. I would say. Wouldn't say changing the culture, but building on the culture. That we set, and raising those expectations. Daily. Um, we've got a lot of guys that want to get to the next level,
Yeah.
and accountability and recognition have to go hand in hand, right? So once the expectation is set, coach likes to say, the standard is the standard, and it takes what it takes, right? You'll know, whether you're getting better every single day, in practice. You'll know whether you're contributing, to the team in the locker room, whether you're a leader, or whatever your role, is, um, on the team. And in the classroom, it actually has to start there. I know I mentioned it last, but it has to start there. Being able to take care of that piece. You get to start your college education, with us, and it's going to take you further. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, our athletic director, Matt Gillette, and
Hmm.
his whole staff do a great job, of supporting, our student athletes, being a resource to them, but also helping them help themselves, you know, and become, productive, members of, the college, get the whole college experience, and sharpen those tools, not just for basketball, but for life.
Hmm.
Well, I'm going to take a little turn here real quick and just, I don't mean to throw you a curveball, but I just want to ask this question just kind of so you can share with the audience.
Yeah.
How important is it knowing that you're the first stop to kids who want the opportunity to continue to play basketball? How do you know? How does it feel, or how important are you making it to be to let them know, hey, I'm your first stop, and if you want to continue, there's stops to come after, but you got to make sure you do everything right here to make sure that stop is a stop that we need to do. So how to me, I would be feeling really really grateful to be given that opportunity to know I'm the first stop.
No, it's extremely important. Especially when we recruit young men. I mean, this year we brought in seven out from outside of San Antonio. We even brought in we were recruited a young man out of New Zealand. So we got kids from Houston, Dallas, College Station, Phoenix. Um, they're coming. Some like Lockie. He's coming from halfway across the world. So it's extremely important. It's a big responsibility on our shoulders to ensure that these young men um, grow. I mean, not just in basketball, but we put in life, and prepare them beyond basketball. And the education piece is the most important. So yeah, I mean, it's I mean, I would be lying to you if I didn't say, man, every night when I go to bed, man, I think about our guys that are staying here, that are not at home. Hey, are they all right? They got what they need. I make sure I'm communicating with them. So yeah, no, it's big, man. It's big.
I mean, throw that curveball. Just again, sometimes I like to go off script a little bit just to
No,
kind of
no, no, no.
add
It's
that realness to the what we doing and how important I know certain things are for you guys. All right.
mm,
So you have returned 5 players from last year in your championship team. So,
Mhm.
what made these guys the foundation of what you wanted to build around, or what part did they play into building the foundation? Because again,
Mhm.
you said you carry about 12 to 15, so
Mhm.
somewhere around there, you have to have a core. So, how important was that to bring these 5 young men back? And let's let them know how important it was that you did
Yeah.
think of those guys to come
Uh,
back.
yeah. I mean, honestly, coming in, going into a new year, the guys that you bring back, they're the ones that are going to provide that institutional memory, of what we did the previous year. So, when we start in June or July with these two-a-days, and I'm screaming, at guys, at the new guys, for whatever it may be, making mistakes or whatever, I'm relying on those 4 or 5 or whoever we bring back. They're grabbing those young guys saying, hey, man, this is why we win. This is why we're successful. Um, so those guys, anybody that I bring back, me and Coach Neff decide to bring back, they're the guardians of the culture. And if they, and I just go back to what I said earlier, man, player-led teams are more successful than coach-led teams. So your leaders on the floor are extremely important. Your leaders in the locker room, your leaders in practice, your leaders outside practice. When you talk about when they help each other out in study hall and so forth, things like, I mean, it's all important, man. It's all important.
Okay, Coach Neff, what qualities are you and Coach Green looking for in those players that you guys brought back to help fit the system also to make sure that they be the bearers of, hey, what right is supposed to look like? So what are those qualities? Can you explain a few?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely like Coach said, they carry over the culture, right? They have the institutional knowledge, and I think any one of us can say in life, in sports or in business, never been part of a winning team where there wasn't peer to peer accountability, right? It sounds like, hey, we don't do that here, right? Or hey, this is how we do it here. And just having guys like that are bought in and that are carrying Coach and I's message, not just in practice, but in the locker room, on campus and all those good things. It's very, very important, Coach and I have, and Coach probably has it right in front of him, but Coach and I have a filtering kind of system, right? Um, where we have our top qualities. That's one of them, right? Being competitive, their competitiveness, is a big one, right? Being a good leader and a good teammate, knowing their role, accepting their role, and following to taking their role seriously, is a big part of it as well. So those are the things that when we knew who we were going to bring over, we knew we were bringing that, and then for them personally was the next step in their individual development. Whereas a couple of our guys might not have been the locker room leaders last year, accepted that role this year. Might not have been the floor generals last year, but they are this year. And it just makes for a well built team.
Okay, Coach Green.
Hmm.
So you already mentioned you brought back or excuse me, you recruited 7 kids. You actually went out and got 7 kids from outside of San Antonio.
Yeah.
I'm not going to name all the guys. One, I don't want to mess their name up, but
Yeah.
just to name a few that I remember was Micah Crotchen, Kraken,
Krashka.
Kracha,
Krashka.
Yeah.
Kracha. Got it. I knew I was gonna mess it up, but I wanted to try anyway, though. All right, you brought Micah there, and I was part. I saw that process being done. So, what was the recruiting pitch? You don't let all your
Mm.
secrets out the bag, but again, what
No,
was the
no.
recruiting pitch, and what did you how did you convince him and his parents to say, hey, Palo Alto would be a good first stop to getting you to the level we were trying to get you to?
Yeah. So I'll name them all, man. that way, in case they are watching, I doubt they are, but hopefully, But yeah, so the guy, Tyvon Taylor, Brody Malo, Isaiah Anderson, Miles Keeler, Shaheen Bogues, Lockie McClain, Micah Krotchka, um, all those guys that we went out and got, but at the same time, in terms of a recruitment piece, the first and most important things about building relationships, right? Um, I tell them all at the beginning, when I initially talk to them on the phone or do a Zoom call with them, or they come for an initial visit, it's they have to be comfortable on where they're going, them and their family. So it's very important that they get eyes on me, they get eyes on my staff, they get eyes on our program and our campus. But in terms of, when we talk to them about what we're going to give them in terms of their development, not only athletically, but academically, there's no promises in terms of athletically. In terms of, hey, you're going to play, or, but we tell, hey, you're going to compete. You're going to compete for minutes, but our number one piece is development. Development not only of your skills, but in the classroom, right? And at a pace that's conducive to be successful. And I'll throw our hat off to this, man. I mean, this semester our team had what was it, 3.1 average?
2.2.
3.2 average.
Mm.
So extreme, that's the stuff, that we really are proud of, man. Not just the winning, man, but and their development, but that academic piece. And at the end of the day, when we hit July, on our two a days, I tell them, you're not gonna be coddled. If you want to be coddled, man, and do go somewhere else. If you want to develop and put your body and your mind to be ready for the next level, then this might be the right place for you for a year, maybe 2 years. Um, for me, when we recruit guys, we want guys who want to run. That old saying, man, run towards the fire, man, not away from it. And Neff kind of pitched it a little bit. There's four things that we look for in terms of recruitment, man. And then the number one piece is competitive DNA. And this is in order when I look at young men. Competitive DNA. The second piece is culture fit. Third piece is IQ, and the fourth piece is talent. Um, you can have all the talent in the world, man, but if you ain't got the first three, talent ain't gonna get you very far. So, but yeah, man, recruitment to me is fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy building relationships, especially I know all of our guys. I know Neff knows them. I know all their families, man. I know their girlfriends. I know I know everything about them, man, because it's extremely important. So, but uh, but but yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. This question is for both of you. I would like to ask you first, Nav. So, how do you blend, or how did you blend, returning players with the newcomers to create the chemistry quickly, and especially for such a diverse roster? So, having all those outside guys, bringing those seven guys in, and just meshing them with the guys returning with the chip on their shoulder, like, hey, we just won a championship. So, be careful how you come in here. And it's a short window. How do you guys get that to blend well and get that chemistry to have the successful season you're already having already?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's not easy, right? But we talk about doing the hard work early. A lot as it relates to not just basketball, but before that even begins, is what Coach just mentioned. Is we recruit for a cultural fit, right? And then a basketball fit. We use the returning guys, to present, instill, and hold kids accountable, for the culture and the standard, and it's really the first, those first 30 to 90 days, we have to figure out, what our identity is, who fits where. We're having constant conversations, individually, and as a team, regarding what the expectation is, what somebody's role is, and how they can do it better or how they're doing it well. Like I mentioned, accountability and recognition have to go hand in hand. So when they do a good job, we're the first ones to tell them, and when something needs to be corrected, we don't hesitate. You got to have a very, very, very short reaction time, because we don't have a lot of time for things to come together and for people to find their fit, and get ready to contribute. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention, the two newer additions to our coaching staff, Coach Ethan Touchstone, and Coach Angel Cepeda, who have both come in and bought in immediately. We
Oh
knew
yeah.
Coach Ethan from before, and Coach Angel, has a great background. Came in and was familiar with the program, and immediately helped us, instill. And so, we're all at kind of different, almost age brackets, right? And so some of us relate to the players, a little bit differently than others, but we all carry the message as a coaching staff. The message is the same coming from Coach Green as it is from me, as it is from Coach E and Coach Angel,
Yeah.
as well. So you heard the term, it takes a village. It really does, and again, the admin side of it and those resources help us to create our identity quickly, and then the chemistry just follows, right?
Yeah.
Everything basketball we teach, going into it, it's almost to the point where before we even play our first game, they're anxious, right? They're anxious to get out there, and execute, on the things that we've already got them to buy into.
Yeah. Yeah, that chemistry, man, dude. The best way to create chemistry, man, is honestly put them through adversity together. Build that brotherhood, through shared suffering, man. And seriously, and so we tell, like I tell all my recruits, and that we talk to, hey, it all starts in July, right after the fourth, man. We 2 days and we go for 2 months strong. So when we got new guys, that are gasping for air, or just struggling, man, and we have somebody that came back last year, a veteran that we had, and they pick them up, that creates chemistry. Um, so that creates that communication piece, in terms of making them talk and things like that, and that's standard. So
Well, when you say adversity, and the way you said it just now, that's spoken like a true military-minded person.
yeah, yeah.
That's one of the best. I think, they say the military is a business, and we are. DoD is a business, but at the same time, that's the best way we all grew at being in the military, and find ways to love your brother is to ever
Hmm.
him or her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, I love that. This question is for you, Coach Green. Which returning players has taken the biggest leap from last season to now, and what sparked the growth you believe?
Which player
Yes,
or
sir.
players?
No, which player? If you
Oh,
want to throw
player.
players, again, if you
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
throw
yeah. I
players,
mean, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's multiple. Because you
Yeah.
want to give a shout out. That's hey, I get it. I get it. You got
Oh
that
no,
fire
no.
in them guys. I get
Out
it.
of some of the returners, honestly, I think the biggest man for me, and I don't know, Coach Neff has a different stake. It would be Roger Dominguez, man. Um, he's yeah, man. I mean,
We're right there. Yeah.
he he's taken, he's put himself in a position, where everything we've asked him to do, he does. I need him to run point guard. Like if Noah is injured or Noah is out, or okay, I'm gonna run point. Okay, now I need you to run my two spot. But in terms of just his growth, man, and his scoring ability at three levels, it's just gone leaps and bounds from last year. He's really put himself in a great position to play somewhere else. And not only that, his GPA is phenomenal. I think he's got like a 3.9 uh,
Mhm.
in the classroom. But yeah, man, he's made. I don't want to say leaps and bounds because he was
Mhm.
good for us last year, but he's just changed his entire game.
Right.
Um,
Right. Okay. Neff, did you want to chime in? Because Coach gave you an opportunity to
Uh,
chime in.
all I can do is add, to some more flowers to throw at
Roger.
Roger.
Okay.
Different role last year, bigger role, this year, leader. He's a leader now. He's a hometown boy. He went
mhm.
to Harlandale High School, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Son of a coach. And like kind of like Coach said, not leaps and bounds. Like neither one of us is surprised,
Yeah.
right? But it's that development step, that he took. Understanding the basketball of it, understanding, the nuances of being a team leader and a good teammate,
yeah.
on top of the production, on the court and in the classroom. Again, just put himself in a great position to play ball at the next level,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
something
yeah.
that we're going to be happy to go out and talk to coaches about.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like to tell this story real quick. About
Yeah.
Roger. So when I first got hired, and I can't remember Neff, man, if you were there when they were bringing guys in for tryouts. I don't think you were there yet.
Was it the
Uh,
last tryout? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and our girls coach had mentioned, "Hey man, I got two guys that are looking to play for you," and I'm like, "All right, cool, man. Go ahead and bring them in." Well, I ain't gonna mention one guy's name, but the other guy I liked a lot. And then he asked me, he goes, "Well, what about Roger?" And I watched him play, and I looked at him and said, "Nah, I don't want him." And it's funny because I tell Roger that. I've told Roger that story, and but we ended up taking him in, man, and I'm glad he's proven me 100% wrong. So,
And I think that's the important part about all this is where, guys just, again, I had a saying this year when I started, well, last year coming into this year, this basketball season is just opportunity, man.
mm,
That's what
Mhm.
it's all about, just opportunity. Some kids need it, some kids don't. They're really athletic kids that's jumping out the gym. They don't need that big of an opportunity. But that kid like a Roger who's 6'1", just, quiet, very, very, very soft spoken young man, but can fill up the bucket shooting the ball. And again, I remember him shooting the ball really well last year
yeah,
for going
mm,
into the game that I was part of. And so I already knew he could be a special player. But again, like you said, that bringing in that adversity piece and then just other pieces challenging him and the iron sharpens iron piece of it all. Again, look at
mm,
him. He's a guy that here you are mentioning. Hey man, I'm glad he came back, and I'm glad he's part of what you got going. So good stuff. Good stuff.
mm.
So this question goes to Coach Neff next. Um, what has been your role in helping and implement Coach Green's vision to the program?
Right. Yes. So, first and foremost is understanding, right, what his vision is. Coach does a great job of communicating, to me where he kind of sees guys fitting in, where he sees us identity wise as a team, and obviously, the future. And he's involved me in recruitment, as well. And so uh, the communication piece has been a big part of my responsibility. Coach sets the standard, coach sends the message, and myself and the coaching staff, we have to hold people accountable to it, and we have to carry the message, in everything, that we do. And so, really being, a second set of eyes and ears, in terms of culture, what we kind of let slide, which isn't much, if anything, what standards we hold kids accountable to, and then on the basketball side, as well, that second set of, eyes, and ears, to offer perspective. It's coaches. It's I like to say it's coaches barbecue, right? We're just helping them, cook it, But he's very good about listening, right? And he really understands, perspective. Coach he never hesitates, to ask, what we see, whether it's in a drill or in a practice, in a game or a kid that we're, recruiting. So in terms of implementing his vision, we're an extension of coach. The way we ask our point guards and our leaders to be an extension of us, on the floor. I think we do a good job of it, and it just like anything, any other relationship, it's the trust that we have in each other, the confidence that we have in our abilities, and the communication that goes on to
Mhm.
execute, the vision.
Okay, okay. Coach Green, it's kind of for
Yeah.
both of you, but this will start with Coach Green. So, how do you guys balance the responsibility of player development to scouting the game? Who does what? What's whose responsibility? How have you adjusted to where as though instead of trying to do it all, now you have a
Hmm.
staff of four. What's the divvy up and who's what?
Um, honestly, for us as a staff, I um I rely heavily on all three of them, right? In terms of development and just anything, just like you mentioned, things that go through practice. What do they see that I don't see? Um, I think that for me as a head coach, I mean, I've always believed in this, man. I mean, you're only as good as the people around you as a coach, right?
Right, right.
Um, so challenging, I think the preparation piece is for us, at this level where we're at Palo Alto, we don't have some of the advantages like larger schools do in terms of scouting and so forth. So, we rely heavily just, execution and practice, and in terms of, the player development piece, and we don't want to just roll the ball out in the game, so trust in your gut and preparation, and practice scenarios and practice that you think you're going to see, adjust, making sure the adjustments are automatic throughout. Um, so, in game adjustments, always get them. I sometimes I get tunnel vision on the sideline, so I definitely rely on Neff and Coach E and Coach Angel, to stand up, tell me it's something I may have missed or so forth, man. But the responsibilities I think honestly are equal across the board. I don't think I don't have an ego, put it that way.
Mm-hmm,
There's no egos in our house.
mm-hmm.
Um, because I can't get stuff done without Coach Nev. Coach Nev can't get stuff done without Angel and so on down the line.
Right.
Um, so
So real quick, I'll put you on the spot.
mhm.
Who of all your coaching staff, who has your the biggest who has your ear like right now? Like, hey, if somebody was said something, they found a recruit, and that recruit's like, hey man, I want to play for you. Who
Mhm.
one got your ear? Go ahead. I'm putting you on the spot a little
Wait,
bit.
wait, wait. Say again. Wait.
Who
Are you
has your
saying
ear? Who has your ear?
who
Who's
has
the
my ear?
yeah, like so again, we kind of letting the recruits know who's the coach they need to go talk to. They want to really
Oh, I,
know.
honestly,
Yeah.
you can talk to any of them. I mean,
Okay.
I have confidence, man,
Okay.
in terms of just like I said, I've told them all the four pieces that we look for,
Yes, sir.
right? And just because a young man comes to one of my coaches, hey, I want to play for Pac,
Right.
that really doesn't mean anything
Right.
because we don't know who you are. We haven't
Right.
seen you play. We haven't seen, we haven't watched a full game on you.
Right. Right.
And if for any recruit, I can tell them this, it's game film's extremely important to me.
Okay.
Being able to watch how, are you making right reads? Are you filling gaps properly? What is your body language like? Um, I could care less if you send me a minute of clips of you hitting 14 threes, man. That don't matter to me, right?
Got it. Got
Um,
it. Got it.
so it's what is there initially that we can build on
Mm-hmm.
to make you a better basketball player and all that, of course, academics down the line. But that's the initial thought process. But no, I mean, if any one of my coaches comes to me and they say, "Hey, man, there's a young man that's looking to come to Pac," okay, yeah, who is he? And then we start the process from there.
Okay.
We find out where he's from and so forth, and try to get out and watch a game on him.
All right, coach. You got out of it. You got out of it. That was good. That was good. I thought I was going to bait you on that one for you. I was going to get you. Like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
Allie's like,
No,
you want to get
no.
the bag? Just
Hey,
go
hey,
talk
hey,
to
at
Coach
the end of the
Allie.
day, hey, it's because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm gonna make the final call.
Right, right, right,
But
right, right. Well, you know, I'm just saying,
mhm,
kids like the kids sometimes afraid to talk to the head coach sometimes. So I do know that. I do know sometimes, just the whole persona of the head coach, what they dealt with probably in the past of AAU and also what,
mhm.
school balls look like. It's always good to have that coach that they can have that ear for. That's all.
Yeah.
So, but all right. All right, going back to the serious questions. All right, coach. What's one thing you both challenge each other on in keeping the coaching staff sharp and evolving? How do you keep your guys sharp like a knife?
In terms of the staff.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you doing to make
Um,
sure that you guys challenge each other? Like not challenge each other in a negative way, but challenge each other
mm,
like, hey, make sure, like we got a joke over here on with on the pro skill side. We say, ball,
yeah, yeah.
pick some bad stuff, you don't know ball. But if you pick some good stuff, hey man, ball. So what are you
Yeah.
guys doing to keep your drawer sharp there over there with knives?
I mean, honestly, the main thing is that you don't get comfortable. I think success is dangerous, man.
Yes, it is.
At the end of the day, it makes you think you got everything figured out,
Facts.
right? So, constantly be involved with our guys, studying the game, the analytics, the trends, staying ahead of the curve. What's going on in terms of, it could be just an in-house thing with us, man, staying sharp, giving them autonomy, to go out and handle certain things. At the beginning of the year, uh, I'll call myself out. For me, giving up. Um, so I don't even know the word I'm looking for, man, but giving up responsibilities within practice, right? You know,
Uh-huh.
uh, uh, giving Angel, hey man,
Delegating.
you got this, you got this, you got this in practice. Giving, Coach Neff, all right, you got this. So at the beginning of the year, I was very hands-on in terms of I wanted to control everything, right? And so for me, giving that up, I think it allows my assistants to stay sharp, in terms of from the training perspective, from the coaching perspective, from the execution perspective, and how we're running plays, so and so forth. Me sitting on the sideline, and I was always in, involved, and but now I'm trying to lean back a little bit, and if we're scrimmaging, if we're doing 5 minute sets or whatever the case may be, I try to step back and not say much because I want Coach Neff to handle it, or I want Coach Ethan to really start getting involved, and Angel, but because I think it makes us better as a staff. So,
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. You finished the last season 24-12. What did you learn from the run that you're applying to for this year's of your guys?
mhm. um, for us, and we played so what 36 games last year. We're already at 28, Neff, right? I think, yeah, 28. I mean, so we're willing the year close to 40 games.
Uh-huh.
Actually in excess of 40 games. I think like 42 games, which is honestly, we've realized, hey, going into next year, building our schedule, we really got to prioritize in terms of games. Where do we want to stay at? So when you look at what did we learn, that it's a marathon, man. I mean, we've been going since June, July, August. I mean, so it's been a lot of months, man, and a lot of time, man. So learning that it's a marathon, and not a sprint, but you feel like you got to sprint the marathon, right, through the whole season. So learning depth matters this year. We're deeper, which has helped us. We've had injury, we've had guys, bodies get beat up a little bit. So depth does matter. Um, last year we weren't very deep. Um, but we developed our bench a little bit earlier this year, right? Really dug into it at the beginning of the year to make sure they got quality reps to be ready. Um, and also, and it helps us win the tough games, that we played this year. Our schedule this year is a hell of a lot harder than it was last year. Um, in terms of who we played, man, in the competition factors. So, um, and just getting guys, to have that mental toughness, because at the end of the day, that's going to be the separator when we hit April. So,
Okay. All right. So as you preparing for your conference play to start back up in February 4th,
hmm
right, against St. Philip's,
hmm
what are the key areas you want to tighten up on right now just to make sure that you kind of, so when you have that game, you have the same results as you had the last time you played them?
uh, I mean, that's easy, man. I mean, turnovers, defensive rebounding, don't give up extra possessions. Um, and make sure that, the guys have the heart, man, to compete for 40 minutes, man. They got to value it. Uh, um, we need to end all possessions with a rebound. Um, Tighten up our transition defense. No easy buckets. And make sure we're not celebrating until the last 40 hits, man.
Yeah.
And just playing, man. Go in the next play. We teach our guys, next play, next play, next play. 0.5 second rule also, man, within offense and defense, all this stuff, and we just instill it. So, um, but yeah, that's what we got to tighten up, man.
Coach Neff, for you, as you guys prepare for St. Philip's, it's going to be at St. Philip's, so that's going to be a tough environment for you guys, because it's away from home. So what's the message you want to send to the players heading into this matchup from the top going all the way down from what Coach Green is telling you and then what you're telling other coaches and then you guys pretty much say to the players.
Yeah, as far as atmosphere goes, block the noise out, right? 80-20 rule, right? 80% of it's is just noise. The rest is basketball, right? And uh, from that perspective, we know. I think we have a good bead on each individual player who's going to show up, what they bring, what we can count on each and every one of them, for, and the rest is just execution, on both sides, of the floor, valuing every possession, like coach said, ending every possession, on a make or a rebound. Um, uh, and um, and just making sure that we're going, game speed, every time. We have certain players that play certain roles, within certain minutes. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Everyone, we trust everyone, to do the job we ask them to do, when their number is called. Uh, and we expect each and every one of them to be ready when that does happen.
Okay. Okay. All right, coach.
hmm
What does success look like for this team beyond the wins and losses as you enter the heart of the conference play to where you got 7 games left, if I'm correct, right? And then you
7 conference games left. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, 7 conference games
Yeah.
left, but you have, all the other games that's in between. We're gonna talk about that in a second.
hmm
But what does success look like?
Uh,
Those last
play,
7 conference games.
playing to our standard, man, for 40 minutes. I
Okay.
mean, it doesn't matter if we're up 20, we're down 20. You know, um, if we blow a rotation, take a bad shot, that's a failure. Even if we're up 20 points, man. And we got to coach those guys through that. You know, uh, the success is going to be the connectivity, especially from the bench, man. Um,
Mhm.
50-50 balls, all that stuff, man, making the extra passes. The wins will take care of themselves if we play like that. Pretty much, I mean, plain and simple, man. Well, I tell them all, man, um, if you win the defensive board battle, you win the 50-50 battle, and you take quality shots, man, you'll win every game.
Right.
Pretty much it. So,
All right. So non-conference games. So if I'm correct, you have 14 conference games. Is that about right?
Yeah, total for the year. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And then
Hmm.
so everything else is everything after that is just And the reason I'm bringing this up is because one of the things I want to give you your flowers for. You go out and you do your best to make sure you get a really tough schedule to make
Hmm.
sure you show what kind of caliber of player you have.
Yeah.
So you're playing the Concordians, you're playing the Shriners, and you're playing the guys that you know that you're going to make your guys compete against. So with
Hmm.
all that being said, what message you want to send to the guys who possibly want to look at the Palo Alto as an opportunity to continue their basketball opportunities they have,
Hmm.
and know that it's just not just about the conference play. Yes, the conference play is what it is, and you have to play in it,
Hmm.
but you're going above and beyond to get those outside games. So,
Yeah.
what message would you send for that, real quick?
No, no, I think it's just it's important for development.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because any young man that we talk to, that already, if they contact us, they're looking to come to Pack, that is an important piece of the recruiting process. We find out what their goals are, what their ambitions are, not only academically, but from a basketball perspective. If they say, hey, coach, I want to study business, and I want to play as long as I can, at the highest level I can. So building that outside of conference schedule is extremely important. For one, it gets eyes on our guys from different coaches, and two, it helps them develop their game more. Right? They're playing against high quality talent. They're building their bodies. They're having to make different decisions than they ever had in a game for 40 minutes. So no, it's important because without those, I don't think our players get get the development piece that is needed to help them, hopefully get onto a higher level. So
And what's one of the tougher games or one of the colleges that you guys went against this year that you want to kind of bring a little light on and say, hey, we are competing. Yeah,
yeah,
we compete against St.
um,
Sacks, and then we all
yeah,
compete here.
yeah. Probably our toughest game
Hmm.
from a college perspective was probably Houston Tolleton.
Okay.
I mean, dude, athletic and long, played hard. We went up there. Coach Smitty, I was proud of our guys. After the game, I mean, Coach Smitty even gave props to our guys, man. How hard they played. Which they did. They didn't give up, and that's a good thing. But we played Southwestern. Um, we played them well. Coastal Bend. We played a lot of prep teams. And some of the military teams we bring in, I think it's a good relationship to have. We've played some pretty tough military teams, man. So, but the growth piece is the most important part. It
Yeah.
you build that heavy schedule. It kind of gives our guys a taste of, hey man, if I happen to go D2 or I happen to go NAIA or whatever level that they're able to get to, kind of gives them a taste of not only the schedule that we're putting on them in terms of academics and study hall and all these things that they have to do, and travel, and now you got all these games, and practice, and the we try to give them as close to what it's going to be like if we move them on, but
Okay.
it's going to be harder,
Right. Right.
so we want them to understand that.
Right. All right. Let's talk about leadership and long term in the long term vision. How do you empower your players to take ownership of the program's culture and standards?
I guess I give them the keys. I mean, once they know the standard, right?
Mm-hmm.
From a leadership perspective, it's their team.
Hmm.
Um, if a practice is getting sloppy, honestly, I shouldn't have to stop it. The guys that we feel are our captains should be the ones to do it. Um, because as players, man, when they police themselves, that's when you get a championship team.
Right.
When they start policing themselves. So developing those leaders, man, by putting them in positions to lead and then backing them up also when they speak up, you know. So if we usually find those guys early, man, especially around July, August timeframe,
Uh-huh.
when things aren't when they're grinding every day, they're doing stuff that ain't basketball related, man. We're running them up. I mean, we're just killing them, just getting them in the mindset of, do I really want to do this? That's where you're gonna find your leaders. That's when they start coming out, man.
Yes,
So,
yes. And then last question, looking ahead, what is your long-term vision for Palo Alto in the Palominos
mhm.
college basketball team? And then how close do you feel you are at achieving it? Which I know you're not because we talked offline a little bit. I know what you're hunting for, but can you share with the audience a little bit
um,
that long-term vision?
long-term vision, I that dude, that's a good question, man. I mean, right now, I want to continue to establish, and grow what we're doing. So really, from a long-term vision piece, each year, I want for us to be successful as a program. We want to have young men that either one graduate from PAC or two, um, move on from PAC with with a great GPA and playing somewhere else. So the vision for me is to bring young men in and either graduate them and hopefully move them on, or move them on within that first year. But that student athlete resume is built. They're ready academically, they're ready mentally, their bodies are ready, their minds are ready, and now, that's success to me right now. It's not about winning TSAC. It's Yeah, that's great. We won it last year. And I hope our guys can pull through and win it again this year. And then when you talk about records, we're 16-12 now. We've had a lot tougher schedule than we had last year. But the records for me right now is not the most important piece. Now, if we're in a position to where we're in a larger conference, we're playing for larger things. Now it changes a little bit. But right now, the most important piece are the young men, and putting them in a position to succeed. So,
Okay, all right, all right. Well, hey man, I always like to have everybody give a fun fact, but I'm gonna change it and just give you both opportunities to just give us a final thought before you get off. And I appreciate you guys for coming on during this time and just again talking about your program and what you guys have to offer.
go ahead, Coach Neff. I'll let you
All right.
roll in.
Well, again, thank you for having us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a big honor, to get on and get a platform to talk about, what we're doing. Um, I got to give a shout out to everybody, at PAC, from Matt Gillette, our athletic director and his team, the admin, the resources, Dr. Garza, who's been a great support and promoter, of the student athlete experience, at Palo Alto, and what we're doing there. Um, couldn't be prouder, of what we're doing. Couldn't be happier to be in this position. Grateful for the opportunity, that Coach Green, has given me. And I will throw in one specific detail. I know Coach said it's a good question in terms of vision, but and he mentioned it being about our young men. I and I know Coach shares have a short term vision, in our head, which is to get our players to offer the opportunity and move them on to the next opportunity, right? Where they have tools, to go and make that opportunity successful as well. So it's a big word, right, opportunity, but I'm glad to be one of the ones that's offering it, a part of a team that's offering it, a part of a mission, and a part of Palo Alto College that's offering it, as well as the ability to do more, right? San Antonio has a great basketball culture, and we want to be a part of it. We want to be a part of it for a long time, and we encourage everyone, to come out, in support in whatever way, shape, or form they can, and really come see what we're doing, and watch these young men and women in Palo Alto athletics, um, share their dream, right? Pursue their dream of a bigger opportunity, and watch them grow along the way, and support, in any way, shape, or form you can. We'd really love to see the city out there.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Coach Green.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll double tag on that, man. In terms of our the staff at Palo Alto. Ever since I've been hired, and then I mean, just nothing but the vision of what they have, and I won't share a lot of it right now. But the vision for what they have for Pack Athletics is pretty good, man. And the backing is tremendous in terms of our athletic department, Dr. Garza and everybody. So, um, we got a new facility opening up next year. They put over 63 million, I think, into this thing. It's going to be phenomenal when it opens. Our campus is beautiful. Um, and you know, we're moving, and any young man that is looking, at coming to Pack, it's just really pay attention to, the things that, if they are listening, in terms of recruitment and what we're looking for, man, those four things, that competitive DNA, that, do you fit our culture? Where's your IQ at? And then of course, we'll worry about your talent at some point. So, um, but yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, and and the last year, last 2 years, I told Coach Neff when I first talked to him, I'm like, hey man, dude, do you want to do this? And then and I'm glad he stayed for this long. Um, so it's a payless position, and man, he puts his heart and soul into it, and so do my other two guys that we have, Coach E and Coach Angel. So, but other than that, man, no, I appreciate you having me on.
Well, again, I want to give you guys your flowers for the work that you guys put in to do what you're doing. It's really important, and I think more people need to know what you guys are actually doing. So with what you guys are doing, gives them another outlet. I want all the guys that feel like they want to continue playing basketball and get as many opportunities they can, and know all the opportunities that's out there. And I want them to know the opportunities to play, with the Palominos is just there, and the door can open other doors, which I'm not going to, let any cats out the bag, but the guys
Mhm.
you got going to play on after their first year with you, their second year with you, you're giving those kids opportunities. So they
Mhm.
always say the proof's in the pudding. So again, I'll let you do that when it's that time too. But right now, I just wanted to let everybody know, as we get into ending high school basketball and ending college basketball, and the recruitment battle starts, the opportunities. Because again, everybody
Mhm.
thinks that they're ready to play D1 until they go to a tryout of D1 and see that ain't D1.
Yeah.
So many, many levels. And again, I just wanted to make sure I give you your flowers of
Uh,
what the opportunity you're doing out there, and the great job you're doing also.
I appreciate it.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you again, fellas. It's been
Mhm.
great. I
Yeah.
appreciate you
Good
both.
seeing. All right, man. All right, my man.